Hi, this is Peter Wooding. Welcome to Christian Weekly News. In this week's programme, we'll be focusing on the importance of family values as we travel to Manchester, where we go to the Image Centre that provides pregnancy advice, post-abortion counselling and training in parenting. We join the Explore team who go into schools and prisons to talk to young people about marriage. And we travel to Ukraine, where we join the Hearts of Love Centre that provides support for families with special needs children. And we look back on the life of Margaret Thatcher. Following on from last week's Christian Weekly News that focused on the 45th anniversary of when the Abortion Act came into effect, we go to Manchester this week and join the Image Centre that provides pregnancy advice, post-abortion counselling and training in parenting.
Image is a Christian charity and we offer free pregnancy testing, confidential help for people with crisis pregnancy. We give them space and time to think about what's happening to them. We're able to give them relevant information and we're able to explore alternatives with them. And we also are able to help them should they choose to carry on with the pregnancy. We have a parent support group that they can tap into. We also give out free baby clothes and equipment. Should they choose abortion, we offer post-abortion help and support. There are very few families that haven't been touched by abortion in some way, and there are very few churches that haven't been touched by abortion in some way. So we believe that God is a God of restoration and that God is able to restore people who have had abortions. It's possible for churches, for individual Christians to get involved. We run a recognised pregnancy counselling course, counselling skills course, and it runs in Manchester and London every year, and people can access that course.
I became aware of Image's service through ringing a helpline when I first became pregnant, and they referred me to Image. Image helped me by providing me with a lot of valuable support, emotional support. It gave me the strength to see the pregnancy through and resolve issues I was having at the time. I would say to anyone getting involved in pregnancy counselling that it's a worthwhile job, and it must be thrilling to see the results afterwards.
If someone wanted to get involved in pregnancy counselling, I'd tell them to firstly explore the Image course because it's a great course, like I've already said. And I'd say it's a great idea because we need more pregnancy counsellors. Our idea is to try to get a pregnancy crisis centre in every town.
In order to set up a pregnancy centre in a local church, it needs vision, it needs a heart. It needs a heart for God, a heart for people, and a heart for the issues. And if this is something that God has laid on your heart, then it's possible to get involved and to do something positive. One of the things when I first got involved in this work, there was a little saying that really spoke to me, and it was better to light a candle than complain about the dark. And that's about right for what we do, because we're touching individual lives and we're seeing individuals restored and healed from the harm that abortion has done in our nation. And it's a real privilege to be involved in this work.
For several years now, the Explore team has been going into schools and prisons talking to young people about the importance of long-lasting marriage. We spoke to their team to find out more about how it got started and the impact it has. With the institution of marriage increasingly under threat, Christian charity Explore is helping young people discuss the realities of marriage and lasting relationships in our society today. Couples go into schools and prisons where they lead sessions that apply the principle of learning by experience. Young people lead their own dialogue to investigate the relationships of ordinary couples who in response offer their own experiences of a successful marriage life. Explore's Chief Executive Chris Ford explains how the charity first came about.
Explore began in 1996 weeks and became a registered charity in the year 2000. It was the brainchild of a man in Hampshire who saw the opportunity for young people to have a dialogue with married couples about relationships, probably marriage, because in schools at the time, and indeed subsequently, there was very little opportunity for young people to have that conversation. One of the first questions we ask young people is, have they had a chance to have a conversation about relationships with somebody older themselves? And invariably, 90% or more say no. And then we follow up the question with how many of you anticipate being in a relationship, probably married, further down the line, and a similar number, about 90%, will say that that's what they anticipate. And they just haven't had that chance to have this dialogue with married couples about what a relationship looks like, about how the values and principles in that relationship make it work. And the couples we use are all volunteers, and they are determined to be open to the young people's questions so that issues which they have faced and have overcome can become very real for these young people. And I think where Explore is unique is that it's giving this dialogue, this opportunity for young people to interact with couples about how a relationship looks like over the years.
Gay Mallam, who's been part of the Explore team since 2004, explains more about her role as an advisor coach.
Before the couple come in, we prime them, we ask them questions, about how many of you would like to have a family of your own one day, and their little hands go up. How many of you like to have that family in the context of a long-term relationship, possibly marriage? And most of the hands go up. And then we say, the final question, think about, because we're going to ask you, how many of you have had an opportunity to have a meaningful discussion with another adult about your hopes and fears, about your hopes and aspirations of having a family of your own?
Louisa Stafford, Local Development Officer for Explore in Hampshire, explains the impact she sees at the end of each session.
I think what really strikes me is at the end of a session, we ask the students to fill out an evaluation form. And I think this really shows the effect that these sessions have on them. Many of them don't want to come. They say, I didn't want to come today, but I'm really glad I did. I think the fact that they see a real live couple, they can't believe it, that they're actually meeting a couple who are willing to share their experience of a long-term relationship, and it has a very powerful impact.
John and Sue have been married for 34 years, and they get many opportunities to explain the keys to their long-lasting relationship.
I think we'll pick up on three specific things. Communication is one that is very important. Commitment is another one that's very important, and also truth and honesty. And all those are biblical values, and we would like to indicate to them that the key behind our successful marriage is the fact that it is Bible-centred.
It's great also to put across that marriage is a covenant relationship, and the difference there is between being married and just living together, which is now so often much more commonly the norm for the young people of today.
Keith and Helena, who have been married for nearly 30 years, will explain to pupils how they were able to come through a very difficult time in their relationship.
We got through it, but not everybody does. And I think in that we have a story. And I think that's kind of what we're really wanting to take to the young people, is that, marriage sometimes has tough moments, and getting through that is possible, and there's certain things that one needs to do to be able to do that.
One of the things we hear the young people ask is, why didn't you get divorced? In response to some of the circumstances that we've shared with them that we've been through. And they ask as though it were a simple option, divorce were a simple thing to do and a simple result. And because it's so common in the way marriages are today, they often end in divorce.
And Chris Ford concluded by appealing for more couples to help promote the importance of marriage.
Well, the couples are volunteers, therefore we need to recruit couples. We need access to schools And there's also a third person called an advisor coach, who's the facilitator, who makes it happen between the couple and the young people, who prepares actually the young people for the couple's visit, and indeed makes it clear that there's a confidentiality about all this, of course there is, but there's also a seriousness about it. And the need of the charity is very much from all people, churches and others, to get on board with us. Being a Christian is not a prerequisite, but clearly the Christian church in its history has frequently espoused the importance of marriage and the value to society. And therefore, our appeal is always to couples who have a faith or not, but couples who can sign up to the importance of relationship and the importance of making it last.
Over the last few weeks, we've been looking at the importance of leaders standing up for Christian principles in public life. Now we have a report on Margaret Thatcher's life, and we spoke to a number of Christian leaders who reflected on how she stood up for Christian principles. While Margaret Thatcher will be remembered for her political legacy as Prime Minister for 11 years, many leaders have been highlighting the Christian values she stood for as a committed believer. Baroness Thatcher, who grew up in the Methodist Church, died of a stroke at the age of 87. The former Archbishop of Canterbury, Lord Carey, during her time as Prime Minister, said Margaret Thatcher's Christian faith underpinned everything she stood for as a leader, which was epitomised in her famous speech when she quoted from St Francis of Assisi.
Well, she was a very explicit Christian. I mean, in that famous statement, Francis of Assisi, she was actually saying, these are the values I want to live my life by, She had attended services. She was a very faithful Christian, brought up as a Methodist. I think she was open to all traditions in the Protestant tradition, and she was a very faithful person of prayer as well.
Baroness Caroline Cox, now a well-known campaigner on behalf of the persecuted church, remembers the time she was summoned to number 10 Downing Street by Margaret Thatcher to be told that she was being recommended to become a peer in the House of Lords.
I had no idea why I was there, and she said, well, I'm preparing a list of recommendations to be given to Her Majesty the Queen for life peerages. May I have your permission to put your name on that list for recommendation for the House of Lords? Well, I was glad I was sitting down, because I would certainly have fallen down with amazement if I'd not been sitting down. But then what was really impressive was she said, you've always got freedom to speak and vote according to conscience.
Baroness Cox also believes Margaret Thatcher was driven by her Christian principles, particularly when she was campaigning for Christianity to be taught in schools.
I think she was very clear in those Christian values. One of the areas where I was active in the 1980s was trying to bring Christianity, the teaching of our Christian heritage, back into the teaching of religious education in our schools. And I think I had a lot of support in the House, and I think Margaret Thatcher gave me a lot of personal support.
For 15 years, Harvey Thomas directed missions in the UK for Billy Graham, before serving as Margaret Thatcher's Press and Public Relations Director from 1978 to 1991. Thomas, who miraculously survived a terrorist bombing attack in 1984 that was meant for Baroness Thatcher, says she was a giant among politicians and statesmen.
She didn't mind a good argument any time, but she knew what she believed in, and that's what she set out to do. And that's what put her above many other politicians, even of her own age, and certainly above the vast majority today, who have no idea what they want to do. And if they did, they wouldn't know how to do it.
Thomas says despite the pressures she faced, she never compromised her Christian principles.
I think the thing that she said to me most of all in, 13 and a half, nearly 14 years, was, no, we've got to do it this way because it's right. Now, whether she was or not, people have the right to judge, and history will judge. But her motivation was because she believed it was the right thing to do, and that's why she did it. Now, that came from her Christian faith.
Thomas says even Ronald Reagan told him he was inspired by the legacy Margaret Thatcher was creating for Great Britain, which continues to have an impact on society today.
He said, what I want to do in the United States is what Margaret Thatcher's starting to do in the United Kingdom, to get the government off the backs of the people. And basically that was a big theme behind. Let the people be independent. Let them have something to leave to their children, hence the sale of council houses. Let there be not just strikes anywhere, but proper democratic processes in the trade unions, hence the trade union reform processes. Let the government not pay unnecessary bills for people laying about doing nothing, hence the privatisation programmes.
And her strong belief in God and her adherence to Christian values inspired her policies. Lord Carey suggests it was her commitment to those universal truths that left a lasting impact on Great Britain and led to the end of the Cold War. He says despite his sadness at her passing, he is reassured that her quality of life is now far greater in heaven.
Well, I feel a sense of sadness because she was a great leader, but her mind was going. No one could actually regret she's passed away. There's no quality of life left, sadly. So we as Christians believe that when we die, we're with the Lord, and that we take for granted that is where she is.
So as the country pays their respects during Margaret Thatcher's funeral taking place in St Paul's Cathedral, many will remember that unlike many of those who succeeded her, she refused to bend and compromise those beliefs which helped make Great Britain great. Hi, this is Peter Wooding reporting to you this week from the Hearts of Love Special Needs Children's Centre in Konotop in Ukraine. This is an inspiring story I hope you'll enjoy as we hear about the dream of Lena Yushchenko, who had a special needs daughter herself and wanted to help other mothers like her facing these difficult circumstances. This is Lena's story. The vision for the Hearts of Love Centre began when Lena Yushchenko decided she wanted to help other families with special needs children like her own daughter Valeria. When her daughter was just a baby, Valeria's father walked out and Lena was left to care for her on her own. But other mothers started to come to Lena for help. Now remarkably, Lena's daughter teaches at the centre that provides a number of classes for special needs children who would otherwise have nowhere else to go for support and an education.
And while she was growing, I was praying for her, and I wanted to see what is God's will for her life, or what vocation she has in her life. And now I see that maybe this is her task in life, and I'm very happy that she can do this. And maybe in some part because of her, God did all that.
Valeria explains more about what she teaches to children and how she feels about working with her mother.
Занимаюсь с детьми на компьютере. So I'm conducting a computer class with children. With Vladislav and Nikita, I teach them letters, and the other two boys I teach them logic. Да, видишь, Vladislav стал. Yes, I see changes in these children. Vladislav, he started pronouncing letters Z and A, and Nikita. And Nikita can count till 10 now. I want them to start talking and then go to school, and so that they would be as all normal children, as usual healthy children.
Lena explains both the biggest challenges and highlights of working with the children at the centre.
Но самая большая трудность, наверное, была в том, чтобы, когда видишь детей с
The most difficult is when you see children who have some problems and you want to help these children, but it's hard, and you have maybe this discomfort in your heart that you cannot really do something about that. But then I realized if I don't do anything, then who will help these children? But with time I started loving these children, and they are like my family now, and I'm thinking about them, and all my life is connected with them. I'm praying for them and thinking how to help them, so they are my life now.
Another teacher, Vika, explains the work she does with some of the younger special needs children there.
I try to develop different skills, talking, doing things. It's pretty much the usual kindergarten program, whatever they want to do there. And I work with autistic children, children with Down syndrome, and some other problems. This girl is Ira. She has Down syndrome, and we are playing with, how do you call it? Plasticine? We're playing with plasticine. Ura! I like to see when children learn something, what they couldn't learn. Especially I like when they learn something that some doctors or anybody else were told previously that, oh, this child is never going to do that. This child is never going to walk. This child is never going to ride. This child is never going to do this or that. And then they do, and they say, yes, they can. You were wrong.
Lena concluded by asking for everyone to pray for their ongoing work at the Hearts of Love Centre.
Силы для дальнейшего труда.
So first of all, I would like to ask to continue to pray for us, because we need your prayers very much for the children, for the teachers, for the center, because we cannot do anything without God in this situation.
And the Hearts of Love Centre is supported by UK charity Mercy Projects. To find out more, go to mercyprojects.co.uk. Hope you enjoyed that report there on the Hearts of Love Centre for Special Needs Children in Konotop, Ukraine. And many of the children they help are fatherless. Here's another inspirational video now called Helper of the Fatherless.
My name is Azaria. My name is Nahu. My name is Pinya. My name is Dayun. My name is Musi. I'm 10 years old. I am 7 years old. I am 8 years old. I am 9 years old.
While I was traveling to different parts of the country, I've seen many children starving, dying, and with many suffering. So I couldn't, keep on doing some other business assignments. So finally, when time comes, when Jesus filled my heart with this ministry, I couldn't continue. I finally decided, left my comfortable zone, because I was fully. I was pregnant, I have to deliver that mission, I saw, because the Lord told me that there is a vision. I put in you have to accomplish that. And finally, it was not very difficult for me to decide. It's really 100% the Holy Spirit assisted me to start the orphanage. Physically, when you see it, it's not very easy decision. Seeing the kids suffering is the biggest and very tragedy thing that I can explain, because they are helpless. These people are, they don't have parents, they don't have relatives. Some have gone away, not to see them dying, not to see them, crying and suffering. Some of them are on their hands, relatives' hands, without eating. They might, see sucking the breast, but no milk inside, because the mom is not getting enough food. So just seeing this in different parts of the country, just running a very good business here, driving car and medication and other insurances are not important for me. That couldn't make me very happy. Now I'm very happy because I play. I see children very happy, change it from that situation to this situation. So actually, if you don't love Jesus and love children, it's not a work that you choose, because there are different challenges. The food, the medication, the school, the house rent, the clothing, everything is the challenge. There are times when I have been crying, sitting on my table. Tomorrow I have to buy, these kids doesn't know. If I say I don't have, they cannot understand me. But one thing that makes me very happy is Jesus loves the kids. I never have lacked nothing, because he loves them, he always provides. When I started the orphanage, I was empty. I started from nothing, just believing that Jesus can provide. It's a miracle. By the way, I believe in miracles. I believe in the prayers Jesus taught. He said, pray only to get your daily bread. I always say, Lord, I want my daily bread. These children are yours, so I need daily bread for these children. I tell you, brothers and sisters, sometimes even I don't know from where I get, from when in my account from different parts of the country. Miracle. So I trust the Lord. He never have left me alone. Everybody knows I'm not a boss of anybody here. Everybody's boss is Jesus Christ. Because it's not my mission. I'm the tool. So it's his mission. He's here to accomplish. He always sees here. Everybody is working for the glory of the Lord. So the kids have got special families. They are alone, they had no one, but now they have families that love them. They are given attention, they are given love, they are given priorities. So praise God, praise Jesus, He is always there.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Christian Weekly News. And don't forget, you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, ccfon.org. And you can also sign up to receive our free weekly e-newsletter called Christian Weekly News by going to our website, christianconcern.com. And don't forget to join us again at the same time next week.